Gary. Gary Gensler won't recuse himself from crypto cases despite appearance of bias. Just an appearance of bias. No bias. It's an appearance of bias. Gary might be up to something here. And in this video, I want to break down this headline, what's going on here. There was actually a new crypto regulation bill that came out, which was just proposed. And I want to kind of go through that because there's a piece of it relating to the Gary Gensler situation that ties into this theory that I want to run by you and kind of go over in this video, because I think it's a very interesting theory in terms of what's coming together. And it has to do with all the Bitcoin ETFs. It has to do with the surveillance sharing agreement with Coinbase. It has to do with all of these things. So here's the headline: Gary Gensler won't recuse himself. Gary Gensler told reporters Wednesday at a press conference that he won't recuse himself, saying he's fully compliant and well aware of his ethical responsibilities. His ethical responsibilities to protect the American investor. Not sure he's doing the best job of that. I think a lot of you would agree. Now, Eleanor just tweeted this not too long ago. This doesn't sound like someone planning to step down anytime soon. And I fully agree with that, right? You know, there were rumors recently that he was stepping down. This doesn't seem like it, but what's the plan? What's the objective? What's the end goal that Gary might have in mind? This is speculation, everybody. But I came across this tweet from Eric over here on Twitter. Now, this is I think it's a very intriguing story or theory, and it really makes sense to me. Follow me here. Now, Gensler was asked today in a webinar about Coinbase being a center of ETF filings. What a good question, right? Coinbase is the center of these ETF filings while Gary Gensler and the SEC is going after Coinbase, suing Coinbase. He couldn't comment on the filings, but went pretty negative on crypto exchanges, saying they operate conflicting services and have limited risk monitoring. So you can see that here in orange. You can see crypto exchanges tend to operate a bunch of conflicted services, a concern that the agency highlighted as a part of its rationale. What that means is they could be trading directly against you and market making against you, which you would not see or hope to see on New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ. So this is something that Gary talks about a lot. Now here's the theory, and this is, I think, very intriguing. So initial reaction, Eric says, seems like a bit of cold water. This makes it seem like the surveillance sharing agreement could be pointless if all of this is a problem for him, right? These main problems that Gary has with exchanges. It seems like the surveillance sharing agreement could be pointless. Once again, though, NASDAQ and BlackRock both knew he had these kinds of problems with exchanges. So before they're filing and refiling, listing Coinbase as a surveillance sharing partner, they already knew Gary has these problems. Very possible they're working with Coinbase to address all this, which means the SEC is using ETF approval as leverage to clean all this up. Now, before I read you this next part, keep in mind this first kind of headline that we just went over. And the bill, I'm going to put a link to this thread. You can read through it. I'm not going to read through all this. The bill, there's 3 really good points here, but it ends with this. While passage of the bill, this term, appears doubtful, the bill does help crypto exchanges currently defending SEC enforcement cases because it reaffirms once again that it is Congress that has the authority to determine how crypto will be regulated, not the SEC. That's the point that I want you to remember here. That this is a reminder, this bill reaffirms that it's Congress that has the authority to determine how crypto will be regulated. Now check this out to end this thread. Somebody commented on Eric's tweet that we just read through, and they said, was never really about surveillance sharing agreements. Gary Gensler is a regulator masquerading as a politician who does not give, you know what he's saying there, about the merits, never has. Only question is whether DC Circuit Act forces his hand, and even if Grayscale wins, it's not an automatic green light. But here's the answer. I can't disagree. I think the same thing, but this is why you could make the case that using BlackRock and NASDAQ ETF approval as a leverage to clean up Coinbase could use it as a feather in his cap politically. And here we go. I regulated crypto with no help from Congress. Could that be the end game for Gary Gensler? Because we just saw here, it's Congress that does need to kind of, they're the ones that have the authority to figure out what's up with crypto, how it's going to be regulated. Is Gary trying to find this path towards this end game, which allows him to say, hey, look, I fixed it. And he can say, I regulated crypto with no help from Congress. If all of this stuff gets worked out and Coinbase gets fixed, if these issues get fixed that Gary Gensler has with Coinbase and crypto exchanges, if they begin getting fixed through these ETFs and these surveillance sharing agreements and what's in them. So a very interesting theory. I wanted to kind of break it down because I've been personally just covering this stuff and tracking this stuff very closely because it's very interesting to me, but it's important to me as a crypto holder, as a crypto content creator, as just somebody that's been in this game for quite a while now. I'm really just watching how it's playing out, and who knows the strategy, who knows what's going on in these people's heads. But this is the headline today. He's not recusing himself. Probably not even close to happening, right? But what's the end game? And it really could be just that. Gary being able to say at the end of the day, I regulated crypto with no help from Congress. We'll see. We'll see how these ETFs play out, but that's definitely a case for the ETFs being approved. That could be a really, really big reason why it might happen. Let me know your thoughts, everybody. I hope you're doing well out there. Please hit that subscribe, hit the like, shoot a comment in the comments below if you're out there. My comment section is crickets. It's like, it's a wilderness of bot comments. It's good to know that you all are out there, so let me know. I'll see you all in the next video. God bless.